Ay, ay, ay. Ya'atse, mabuhay. Aloha. And good afternoon, one and all, to Medicine Tribe Television. Real Medicine segment, episode 22. We are 22 episodes deep. And I welcome you all to today's episode. Another fantastic killer guest today. Just wanted to acknowledge in this moment I think a feeling that we're all feeling as the heaviness sets in, as we are feeling all these feelings, this emotional baggage we're carrying. May today's conversation bring good medicine to our souls, our spirits, and lift us up in a good way. All my relations. All right, so today's guest is Xiuhtezcatl Martinez. Many of you know him as a common ally in many of the works that I do, as our band does. We've been friends for a long time now. He's a rapper, an activist, an author, co-founder of Earth Guardians, sexy model, and my little bro. So let's bring him into the conversation today and hear his wisdoms, shall we? If it lets me touch the thing. Okay, here we go. Not that side. Gotcha. All right, here we go. Shoo.
Poppin' Big Bear.
What's up, baby?
How you feeling?
See if you can catch these blueberries.
Almost one more time.
That would have been so cool if we planned this where you actually had blueberries and then I threw it and you had like what you were like. See, this is the thing, is like when I start talking to you, I was like, I'm just gonna talking to you like I always talk to you, which is kind of like goofy at first, right?
We need to choreograph this next time, bro.
But then I have like all these serious questions for you because I like hearing your deep wisdoms, because you're such an inspiration and you hold such good space for all of our people. So
Thanks, big dog.
first of all, I'm gonna put on my host hat real quick. Xiuhtezcatl, welcome to the show.
Grateful to be here. Thank you.
So great to, yes, thank you for being here. First of all, how's your heart?
Bro, that's how I feel. All up in the inside of my heart. No, man, it's bro, we're in a fucking powerful moment.
Yeah.
Black uprising and people of all nations coming together to defend Black life and to challenge structural racism and white supremacy and to envision a new world. And I think that's what has me really hyped too, is like all the conversations to both tear down these existing systems and actually implement something new. And I feel like in my life, I was raised by a very conscious family that always talked about imagining a new paradigm and bringing that into reality. And I think a lot of the worlds that we exist within, that we communicate with, are on that same tip of like, oh, we have to like reimagine a new world where we all can love each other. But like that takes an immense amount of really, really deep work to dismantle a lot of these structures that are keeping our people from truly being unified, truly being able to step into a new paradigm. And so I think this is a powerful moment for me to like really recognize and be like kind of awakened to the fact that like the work to really realize the future that is possible is going to go deeper than I think we ever expected. And I think there is a will for people to create and build that now more than ever. And yeah, so we're in an absolutely powerful moment. We're in a tragic moment. We're in a moment where, the violence of the state, of the colonial state is more visible, than ever in the eyes of mainstream media. The fact that this story has been carried and persisted, to be at the forefront of everyone's consciousness despite being in a global pandemic.
Right, it's a pandemic. It's like a pandemic within a pandemic.
It's a pandemicception, bro. It's crazy.
So with all your years of organizing and mobilizing peoples and speaking out on injustices, et cetera, from the environment to cultural, I think you could agree that this is an inflection point, and with it being as such, how do you see this as being different from past turning points where all eyes were on a cultural group or a group of a race? How do you see this being different than moments of the past?
It's crazy. Like so many of my white homies are just getting really, really heated about it. And I think
I've had some intense arguments. Yeah, for real. Go ahead, sorry.
and both in an argumentative stance of like not getting it or being on the all lives matter tip or whatever, but also like really, really down. Like the protest that I was at in Philly, white people were like going crazy. They were like, "Yo, fuck these cars, pig ass." I was just like, yeah. There's a lot of anger there, and at the same time, there's like, I think the energy that I've witnessed right now. I don't know. I feel like the experience, the series of moments that has gotten us to where we are right now, opens up this opportunity for us to recognize that our struggles are inherently woven together. And I've seen this really clearly with a lot of really beautiful support from different indigenous allies and relatives that are standing up and stepping up for our Black relatives.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different organizing spaces, whether it's the LGBTQIA community that is standing up in solidarity, the environmental and the climate space. Like there is absolutely, no space for anybody to remain on the margins any longer. Mm-hmm. And even a lot of corporations and companies are like, oh shit, like this is literally mainstream right now to be talking about this.
And you better be careful what you say, because some folks will come out, some organizations and corporate companies, et cetera, will come out and they want to say something and then they just fuck the whole thing up.
No, some people are definitely just wave riding for sure. Like, what was I saw Fashion Nova was like, we're going to donate $1 million to like racial justice work. And I'm like, one of my native homies posting like, why don't you start by paying living wages to the people that are working, to produce your garments? Like start there, or the Redskins were like, #Black Lives Matter. And I was just like, what are you talking about?
So daft. And yet I think what you were saying too, and I think this fits well into it, is that, even just that thread that is being misplaced, right? Of like, say the Redskins, saying they stand for Black lives, or, even the NFL guy or whatever, the head dude or whatever his name is, and, missing that link, right? But even maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, like those kinds of things wouldn't be threaded necessarily by the outcry of the public. The public wouldn't necessarily say, yeah, but, or yeah, and, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 100%. This moment is 100% being curated by the people, and this energy that we are experiencing right now, I think is being realized, in following the leadership of really powerful Black community leaders who have been doing this work time and time again, because of how much, So this moment is I think more wide. As I was saying, like this is a mainstream conversation right now, and at the same time, like the ways in which you engage and the ways that you speak up and the way in which you use your platform is really going to tell like which side you're on, because even within this call to defund the police, even within this call for Black lives, there is, I don't know, a lack of clarity amongst different allies and different groups and people that I see calling for different types of solutions. And there's a big conversation right now between reform and abolition. Myself as an ally, like I've been working and really excited to just be curious and just to learn and listen and like inform myself and like read the scholars that have written, the Bibles that
the textbooks on this,
understanding everything from Slavery by Another Name to the New Jim Crow. Like I'm listening to that audiobook right now. I just drove across the country, like listen to it every single day, and it's like this is so deeply connected to every issue that we think about, that we care about. We were both laughing at that meme that people posted, like, oh, people care about property damage. Wait till you hear about climate change.
Oh my God, that was great. Well, yeah, because all eyes on this matter, as you're saying, and it's like, whatever, like a month ago, we were talking about the fact that next the next crisis is literally already here, and looking at that, the speaking on the environmental crisis, I mean, but to circle back on the defunding and the divestments and these kinds of ideas and these words and these terms and these conversations, what can you talk to us a little bit about the clear and present systemic racism, how that plays into why we're having these conversations around the dismantling, and what that can mean for environmental justice in the long run?
100%, 100%. And you know, anytime I speak on these issues, like I definitely I'm not really speaking from a place of authority, but like
sure,
from like even just between me and you, like reflecting on what I've been seeing and reading, and like I think that the absolutely most important first step is like to recognize and follow Black leadership in these spaces. And I think, you know, as allies, I see a lot of white folks, a lot of Native folks, a lot of non-Black folks, you know, recognizing the power and the responsibility of allyship to hold space. And obviously it's a fine line, right? And and for me, you know, doing this work of climate justice within this framework that I've been doing my entire life, in indigenous communities I think much of our perception of it isn't as this existential political issue, this environmental issue. For us, it's cultural survival, right? And I think foundationally clean water, the preservation of our land, our connection to our land, like that is those are the pillars of our societies. And so when we see the climate, the environment through this lens of being a human issue, I think it totally transforms our approach and our willingness to stand up for other issues that are also human issues that are.
Did we lose him? Is it just me, or is he paused? Does everybody else think he's paused? Did it pause for him? Can you still see me? Am I still talking? I think I'm still talking. Oh, he left. Yeah. Oh, that was funny. I guess he went through the portal. I love these kind of days. All right, let's see if he can get back on here. Looks like we lost him for a second, so we'll just wait for him to show back up. Let's see. To dig into that part of the conversation regarding the parts of the I'm totally at a loss right now because I'm just laughing too much about where he was. Let's see if he's back. Nope. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I want to approach that topic around, I mean, the dismantling is such a big part of this whole conversation that I wanted to have with him today. Let's see, he's back here. Nope, he's not. Because as we are witnessing all across the nation, and probably even across the world, as we're questioning the oh, there he is. All right, we'll let him finish. Oh, there we go.
We're here. I'm in the middle of the forest, so the Wi-Fi is like kind of buggy. My bad.
Did you drive? Did you make that drive?
Yeah, bro. It was wild.
Wow.
It's 30 hours from
How many
Philly
days?
to.
It took a day and a half.
It took like 3 days.
Dang.
We split it up though.
Well, I'll circle back on that after this, but
Yeah.
I want to hear about the trip on the not public call.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you can continue that thought.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at the foundation of the climate crisis, what it really is a issue that stems from colonialism, and this like European colonial ideology of dominance and ownership over land and nature, and the absolute um, disregard for other human life. Seeing indigenous peoples when they came to this continent as inferior, having the conscience to enslave African people, ship them across the ocean, and work them to death. You know, these are the foundations, these are the building blocks that created, you know, the fossil fuel energy empire that
Yeah.
works upon those same systems and those same structures where they can consciously, you know, exploit communities, land, water. They're building refineries in Black and brown communities. They're building and expanding natural gas extraction, fracking in Black and brown communities. If you look at the people that have lower carbon footprints but are experiencing more air pollution, that's Black communities. You know, and if you look at every level, from the transportation to the extraction of these industries to who is left with the mess after these industries pack up and leave, Black and brown peoples, indigenous peoples are always experiencing the worst. And so environments are, and I really saw this really deeply when I went to Detroit, and I was kicking it with a bunch of older heads, a bunch of like OG Black racial justice, environmental justice activists. And for them, I saw the same thing that I see in a lot of our native elders, where like the struggles are one and the same to preserve the environment. Because what happened in Detroit was like those two worlds were absolutely connected, where the abandonment of industry and the economic abandonment of the Black communities as urban sprawl happened, and as the continuation,
Gentrification and
yeah. So like as that happened, you know, Black communities were left with the disarray of a decomposing environment, and at the same time experiencing all of the racial violence.
Yeah.
And so this, you know, this really calls us to recognize that these are deeply connected issues. They are deeply connected struggles. And even, you know, I read an article recently talking about the connection of climate justice and racial justice, and literally like the financing, the funding towards researching and developing sustainability within cities. Like police departments are getting like 20 times more funding than the sustainability department. Yeah, bro.
Millions.
Like the ways in which and I see that parallel. And I was listening to this audiobook the other day, the new Jim Crow, and just the way that governments subsidize the funding of police, for me felt like not exactly the same, but like very parallel to how the destruction of the planet through the subsidization of fossil fuels happens, and how the government,
the same system.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy, bro. It's really crazy. And
Speaking on police as well, and you know, I've been encouraging people to check out the public availability of, it's like a PDF that each city has on their budgets.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, like, you know, where you can literally look at these budgets and see what your city's 2020 budget is. And Portland's is actually up this week, I believe, and or this next week or whatever. But like, it's so interesting to actually look at the numbers where the prioritizing has happened, where, you know, this millions of dollars are getting put into law enforcement and policing, and then there's like, you know, dust over here for like the health and wellness of your communities, and of course, you know, the arts is like way down there, you know. Right. Arts and education, you know, it's like, and so I think it's so clear at how important, you know, the supremacy of white culture has clearly from the top down, only changed the way that we're supposed to look at it, but ultimately through a lens of these times, you can see we're really just serving different slave masters still. And there is a fear within that around this contract that we're supposed to be following in society, that we've like supposedly agreed to, in this illusion, that and that we're supposed to uphold. And I wonder what you think about this when people like police specifically, or corporate companies, or the government, do not uphold that contract. Why should we?
Yeah, man, and I think it goes back to really understanding where policing comes from, and it comes to understanding where the prison industrial complex that currently dominates in the lives of so many people. Where does that come from? And a similar conversation around this pandemic has arisen, where we blatantly see the systems that exist in this country are not designed and are not built to prioritize human well-being. They don't exist to ensure that we have access to healthcare. They don't exist so that we have access to community resources, to education, to the arts. In times of crisis, they don't exist to protect our most vulnerable, to protect the communities who at every other level, every other turn of our society are disenfranchised, are disinvested in, are targeted by police violence, targeted by structural white supremacist violence, targeted by racist laws from every branch of the government. And so, and even just in this idea of people being upset about looting, everything that exists in this society was built upon stolen labor, stolen land, stealing people from their land, stealing land from the indigenous peoples,
stealing their women, stealing their children,
stealing our culture,
stealing their culture, stealing their music, stealing their, yeah.
Looting happens every single day and continues to happen at a structural level. When we talk about the abolition of police and the abolition of prison systems, people are like, well, then the criminals will all be amongst us, bro. The criminals are already all amongst us.
And they wear suit and ties.
The criminals are lobbyists. The criminals are politicians. The criminals are, so yeah, man, like, fuck a Target that got looted.
Fucking burn it down.
And at the same time, when we talk about this moment, right, where people are responding not just to the brutal murder of one man, of one relative, of one black life that is taken amongst so many others, but it's this lineage of violence that people are uprising against. And a similar energy, I experienced a similar energy at Standing Rock, where it wasn't just about that land, just about that pipeline, just about that indigenous community. It was about a many generations that have been experiencing and being impacted by this colonial state that prioritizes, that inflicts violence upon our people by poisoning our water, by literally calling in militarized police force, similarly to what we were seeing at these protests, against peaceful protesters, against elders, shooting them with tear gas, with water cannons in the dead of winter. So we're fighting against these larger structures. And at the end of the day, it's like, where do we go from here, and how do we reimagine all this? And I really encourage people to do their research, because there's so much to learn that we won't be able to like dive into within this 1 hour like IG live. But there's so many resources out there for you to understand what abolition means, to understand, what a world without police looks like, what a world without prisons looks like. If you look at the people that are in prison, man, it's crazy. Read the book, A New Jim Crow. Like, I really encourage that as reading, and I've done everything that I can. I have like a highlight in my Instagram profile. It's just a bunch of resources I've been compiling over the last few weeks just to support and be in solidarity and inform ourselves on different layers of the issues that we're experiencing. But yeah, man, we don't owe the system shit. we don't owe the system anything.
Yo, have you listened to Jane Elliott?
No.
Oh my God. I've been kind of like going deep in her whole isms, but I learned about her from listening to Killer Mike talk to Cool Air.
Yeah.
And then some of my friends actually were like saying that they have been taught some of her teachings in class, and um, she does this test, this racism test, and she's been doing it since like the 60s. And she is a gem, and she will make you laugh, but also be like, damn, like she's on something, you know what I mean? And she does this thing called the blue-eyed, brown-eyed test, and sort of flips the script on people. And it's fascinating to watch, and also empowering, I think, for a lot of people. And it has changed lots of people's lives to understand what it's like to be on the other side, you know.
Yeah.
So
Send me that link.
yeah, I'll link it up. I'll send it out on this one as well. Speaking of, you know, I just made my new list of educational materials to be diving into, and there was that. I don't know if that was your whiteboard. Whose whiteboard was that? That
I reposted it from a friend of mine from an artist from Brooklyn
yeah,
that I follow from New York.
yeah, it was going around, and like
Yeah.
it was super helpful to look at it though, because I'm like
Agreed.
super OC without the D, and I like to like look at all the, you know, things like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
bro.
um,
It's overwhelming too, you know.
it
Like
really is.
just logging on to social media, I'm just like, you know, because so much empowering shit, so much really tragic, like so much people arguing, like just there's so many layers to it. So the more that I can like center myself in really informing myself, so that my knowledge isn't swayed by like like a lot of the crazy like random polarities that we see on social media, and it
Right.
can really come from a deep place of like a lot of scholars have done the research for us, you know, and have presented it really well. And even so yeah, man, I encourage people to like not get inundated by the heaviness of this moment, because there's a lot going on right now. And you know, yeah, I do think a big part of us playing our part right now is to inform ourselves, understand how to leverage our privilege, understand how to leverage our platforms. I've seen a lot of my white homies being, you know, really good allies in this moment.
That's what I wanted to ask you about actually as well, because
Yeah.
one of my questions was, in your interpretation of allyship from our white friends, what ways from action to education can you offer
Yeah.
in that realm?
Definitely. I mean, and again, like on this, there's a little story highlight on my Instagram that has one of the links in there is to like just like a series of Instagram slides that talks about how like things to think about as a white person or as a non-black person before you post on social media about racism. And I think a really important just overall concept is just to not censor yourself in the narrative that you are sharing, because information is really powerfully shared
That's
in a
big.
lot of ways, and sharing stories is really big, and even, you know, acknowledging that like a lot of black organizers and a lot of frontlines, you know, black community members are like, we don't need white people to be sharing videos of black people being brutalized. That's actually really harmful and traumatizing and triggering to a lot of black folks. And also to say that, you know, this brutalization, it's like important to acknowledge this as a part of a system, but it is not, we don't post these videos just to educate white people, you
Right.
know? And I think that's really powerful, but I think overall, being really humble and listening and acknowledging that like you were probably wrong about some things that you think, and that's okay. And that doesn't mean you're bad, but it does mean that there's a lot of space for us to go deeper than we ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And to inform yourself, allow black people to lead these conversations in these spaces, tap in with black organizers, and have your participation go further than just the hype on social media. Have your participation go further than just regramming things and sharing stuff, because, you know, we really need our white allies on board. You know, a cross-race coalition is what is going to win this struggle. A cross-race, cross-class, intergenerational coalition of freedom fighters, of warriors, of artists, of storytellers, of
Ooh, it's
all
called
that.
it's the Arc,
The arc.
a cross-race coalition.
It's the Akirk. The Akirk.
Get on the Arc.
Get on the Akirk, everyone. But yeah, man, much love to, everybody having uncomfortable conversations with their grandparents and with their parents, and like calling at their parents' Facebook posts, and like breaking down to people why all lives matter is a problematic statement.
Right.
And it's bit by bit, but like, yeah, understand these structures that we exist within. Like I say, me and my girlfriend we're driving, and we were driving across the country, and we were just like, how do cars work? Like and maybe this is just me because I spent my life doing other things other than figuring shit like this out. You should have seen. But we're like, I don't
Oh
really know how
my
anything
God.
works like this. Like I don't know how like these machines
Bro, I was
work.
the same. I was the same way though, because was your dad like? Did he teach you how to use like things like that? Teach you about cars? Teach you about like tools and shit?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Well,
no, same. Like my dad was like so incompetent about that shit, and so like I had to literally go figure it out myself. And I've definitely been in that place where I'm like, wait, what? Do I
how,
burn sage over it? Like if it breaks down and shit? Like
bro? And that's how I feel like most people are about like the structures that we
racism.
exist within every single day.
Yeah.
Racism, the police state, the surveillance state that we exist within, the prison industrial complex. Like people just don't grasp it, and it's like I think for a lot of people that experience privilege that allows us to live outside of those systems, like it's easy to just not ever encounter it.
Yeah.
So like confront yourselves with that shit is what I would say, and that's really powerful. And hold space, give space, don't speak first, be patient, learn, listen. Yeah, like yeah.
What I mean, we're not even like it's just barely summer now.
Right.
And what kinds of things are you concerned about or do you have on your radar in the coming months leading up to an election? And where's your head at with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this moment that we are in right now is really powerful. This call to defund the police. There have been and the call to action is powerful. The mass gathering of people, just seeing, my boy Jai with 50,000 people there. There's like, are you still there? You still there? Okay, cool. Sorry, my shit glitched
Yeah,
out.
I got you.
In Melbourne and Brisbane, there's thousands of people. Like the footage from LA was insane. Like, so I think we are experiencing a swell of like realization of mobilization of people. And so I think when we think about these elections, it's not just the presidential election, because if we look at it, Joe Biden has had a really poor record and is one of the architects of the current, dysfunctional systems. And yeah, so it's hard to say, because I'm seeing also a lot of power being transferred over to a lot of local elections. There's a lot of really powerful Black leaders that are running for different power positions of leadership in office. In a resource I would go to people, because I know people from all over the country follow you, that go to Sunrise Movement and look at the candidates that they've endorsed. There's a lot of, and Bernie Sanders just endorsed like 6 candidates that are
I saw that.
really powerful platforms to bring holistic solutions to many of these different issues. So remember that, like, as enticing and flashy that the presidential election is, there's a lot of small elections that matter a lot. District attorneys have the power to sentence people, to sentence police that have enacted these acts of violence. They have the power to do a lot of work that it never gets done. So the elections for district attorney, for local office, for city council members. I just saw that the city council members in Minneapolis are looking to potentially disband the police, and that's wild. So like put pressure on these positions of leadership. And even when we talk about
big ups. Go ahead.
Yeah, just this pandemic too. Like, how are we going to emerge from this pandemic? And are we going to allow the federal funding to continue to go towards corporations and people that are destroying our planet and our communities, or are we going to demand and fight for a people's bailout that is going to censure community revitalization, community health initiatives, the actual investment in our people, our lives, our well-being, our ability to be resilient, our ability to put the measures in place so we are prepared for future crises? Because the climate crisis is like is every day. People are suffering every day, and it's going to continue to get really intense. And so, yeah, I just think the way we go into the November elections, the way we go into some of these smaller races, is with this understanding that we are absolutely at a cultural, global turning point with how we are able to define ourselves as a generation and as a society. And the power is in the streets. The power is in how we show up, how we mail in our ballots, how we show up to vote for elected officials that represent our communities. And yeah, like we cannot allow this momentum to let up, because we have a very, people's lives are being lost every single day at the hand of these violent systems. And the climate crisis is looking to exacerbate every existing violence towards our people that already exists. And that's, we have a very scientifically based short timeline to address the climate crisis. And yeah, so I think this can be a really powerful floor. This moment can be a powerful space where we ground ourselves and we recognize that the work is deeper than we ever imagined. And go stream Take Your Power Back by Nahko Medicine for the People.
Download, dear bro.
Bro, how crazy is it that you dropped that album right before all this went down? I just find that very, very, very auspicious.
It's hella mystical, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was supposed to come out last year, bro. And then it didn't, and so it's clearly meant to happen during this time. But yeah, WTF? I mean, wow, though. Wow,
Absolutely.
And but tell me about your music though. What's up? Talk to me about that.
I just got on a song with an artist. I don't know if y'all know. We did this really powerful collaboration called, I don't even, Dear something, Dear Bro.
Oh my God.
Dear Mother.
Oh, I think I heard it. Yeah. No, it's
Mother.
Yo Mama.
Yo Mama. I think that's the name of the album.
Yeah.
Take Your Mama
Back.
Back.
For the Take Your Mama
No, man. I mean, everybody shout out to everyone showing love to Dear Brother. I think out of all the songs on the album too, that one is just so relevant. And when I started writing a lot of those lyrics, it was amongst the times of just reflecting on a lot of police violence and that brotherhood too, and that fear of losing our brothers, and that calling home, calling in. Yeah, so that song, grateful to have had that out. I have a mixtape in the works that is probably going to drop in July that I'm really hype about. The mixtape is essentially a collection of songs.
I keep forgetting to tell you because I listened to it.
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
It was fire. I just feel so when I hear that, when I hear it, I'm it's just so fascinating to watch you grow, because I feel this it's crazy because I'll think about all the shit that I've done and I go whoa, it's levels up every time, and then I'm listening to I remember listening to when you first started putting stuff out, and then listening to this new stuff you're about to drop. It's just I'm there's no limit, bro. You know what I mean? It's incredible to see your flow expand, have no boundary, and the production just gets tighter and tighter, and I keep going clearly there's going to be a lot that is impactful for people from just the kind of way that you are able to make your own lane within hip hop, which is very difficult, and people understand how difficult that is.
Yeah.
And so I think that each time you present yourself, you're becoming more and more powerful, and we need that kind of shit in the world. So,
Appreciate you, bro.
fucking kick ass.
It's crazy, dog, because this mixtape is literally the B-sides off the 11/11 album that we're gonna drop probably next year. And me and Jai have been working on this album for like 3 years now, and we recorded a bunch of these songs that were super fire, and then we kept developing the album, and then he lost his computer shit itself. Everything
No.
got erased. His backup hard drive, everything got erased, and we were like, our album is gone. What are we gonna do?
No.
And we were like, and then we just kept creating, and every song we wrote since his whole computer was erased was better than everything you heard. And so we still had these songs that were like, well, these are fire. We want to put these out, but we can't properly mix them because we don't have the stems. The instrumentals are all on his laptop that got destroyed. So essentially, this mixtape that you heard is like a Kendrick Untitled Unmastered type, like runway tapes, like the B-sides that aren't gonna make it on the project because
you're gonna title it, or is it gonna be that?
Are we gonna title it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Runway Tapes.
Okay.
And yeah, that's coming out. It's coming out, yeah, this summer, July, August. We're just finishing mastering two more songs. But again, that's just like the runway, the journey towards the full album, which I haven't even sent you those demos yet, but that's like a whole nother level. That's your boy singing and shit. It's I'm like, you feel me?
You actually have a really great voice, and I don't think most people know that because they're so used to that sexy hip hop voice that you have.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm excited to hear you flex the chords.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hype on it, but that's all going down. Some cool collaborations in the work with different artists, and
yeah, that stuff you did with OXDX was fire.
Yeah. We just dropped a collection with these indigenous designers out of the Southwest called OXDX. I gotta send you one, bro. Send me your address. Gotta rock
Where's
it.
my shirt, bro?
I know. We got shirts and hoodies with beautiful stories woven into the fabric, made by dope indigenous artists out of the Southwest. So check that out too. But yeah, bro, I'm just like finishing writing this next album, and now I'm just like in the forest, and just like ready to just soak up all the magic and continue.
Where it all begins.
Yeah, just put the art out and keep creating. I've been playing the guitar, bro. I've been looking up what are the chords in Two's Pies on Google, and then this woman's
no, it's Tuss Pies.
Tuss Pies, and then this woman's like, playing Tuss Pies on the piano begins with an 8 mile, and I'm just like,
oh wait, were you watching the YouTube tutorial by that lady?
Yeah, bro.
Oh my god, I want to send her a message and tell her she's a gangster.
Dude, she's such a G.
Oh man, I love that you checked that out.
I literally, bro.
Well, did you learn how to play Tuss Pies?
Yeah, I did on the guitar. It's on tabs, on the Guitar Tabs app. So I learned how to play it. One day I'll post the remix.
Yeah, you should do a cover of it. Yeah.
Nahko cover.
Yeah.
The Xiuhtezcatl cover. But yeah, bro. I'm just curious too. Like, I feel like riding the wave of the album you just released, and again, like in the same way that you've watched my journey, like I feel like I've definitely also witnessed. Because when we met, you had just put out, or you were like playing songs off On the Verge. It was before you would even.
Yeah. Because Hoka wasn't even out yet.
Hoka wasn't even out yet. Black is Night, Dark is Night, Black is Night, Dark is Black.
Yeah, that one of those. I'm gonna Google it. But yeah, it was back then. But
early days.
This is the thing that I was talking to. I was actually talking to Uncle Joe about this today, and as we witness so many of these systems collapsing, and then also I'm just so curious to see how the music industry also gets to fall on its face, because it's definitely a bunch of bullshit, and I think that it underrepresents millions of people who deserve to be heard.
Yeah.
And the whole fucking model is bullshit. So I'm very curious to see how that is going to change, and how that will affect us and how we bring our messages to people, and
Yeah.
and where we end up, and where that ends up landing.
It's crazy though, bro. Like just the I think the vision has always been to have our art, which is so out of the box and so outside of what the industry expects and feeds off of, which is a lot of just like lame, capitalistic, repetitive, non-soulful music. And just the amount of commercial success that Take Your Power Back has received. I was so hyped when I saw that. I was like, really on, as an artist that just witnessing the truth and the profound message behind in the stories and the vulnerability in the music that you create. Like to have that topping charts is like, I think it also says something about the times that we're in and how just the platform for you is growing and the musical journey is growing, and so it's been dope. I feel like side by side we both been reaching towards the sun, for the next waves. And it's really powerful to see, man. Proud of you.
Thank you. Guess who just followed me? Guess who just followed me on Instagram?
Who?
I got that.
Who? Wait. Let me guess.
Everybody matters.
Nah. Okay. Who was it?
I hope she's listening, because maybe we should do a collab. But I got that Leanne Rhymes follow.
Leanne Rhymes?
Yeah, I remember Leanne Rhymes.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that was funny. You should Google her. Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will. Maybe.
Cool. There's moments for those kinds of things. But yeah, like it's gonna be interesting to see what's coming next. I mean, bro, the songs that I've been writing this past week, actually, even on Full Moon, like more songs started coming in. I'm just like, damn, this is it's like everything's so special in these moments when you're creating during this specific kind of time. You know what I mean? Like, it's so profound. I mean, honestly, it's so profound. I'm just gonna share you this piece here because it says, I understand you don't understand, and that's understood, but even good people get tired of being good.
You have bars, bro. Staying. I think Black Thought would be hype on that.
Oh, what?
Black Thought would be hype on that.
I don't know what that is.
Black Thought from The Roots?
Oh, I couldn't hear what you were saying. I thought you said blah blah.
Blah Blah would be hype on that
Blah,
too,
blah.
probably.
I was like, what is this? Blah blah.
Nah, man, that's powerful. That's a powerful little lyric right there.
But I gotta say that actually that sentence, per usual, came from a conversation I was having with Antipua months and months ago, when she told me that one of her Kanaka like frontline guys was like, yo, Auntie, like even we have a breaking point, you know what I mean? And I was like, damn, that's for real though. And then the other night it just came out as a song, and I was like, okay, I'm listening.
Okay then. Let's go then. Right, yeah, I'm hyped to because even though we've worked on stuff a lot and we've toured together a lot, we haven't like gotten to just like sit and jam and just like vibe out, because I feel like that some crazy magic will come out of some sessions together, especially.
Dude, I could teach you how to play Tuss Pies, and you could write some new songs about Tuss Manos.
Tuss Manos.
Yeah.
Ojos. Bro, Mabuhay, I hear every time I see a little live thing, you say, aloha, yate, Mabuhay.
Yeah, what about it?
And Mabuhay, is that Filipino?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait. I mean, I figured.
Like when I first said it, you were like, what is he even saying right now?
And I hear it like every day too. I'm just like
Are you listening to me every day?
a little bit.
That's cool. That's cute. I like that.
It's cool. You have some cool conversations. You have some interesting people. Wait?
Yo,
What are the coolest like combos you've had on here?
dude, honestly, like, um, the one that always like stood out the most to be 100 was like the talk that I had with well, okay, there was two. One of them was like Deborah Silverman, and
Yeah.
then because she's just like she goes, and I just like love talking to her. She's hilarious and she's on it. And then the other one was Teal Swan, bro, and she's she is fascinating, and I was shook by our conversation to the point where like it really resonated with me, but it was like really intense just to like sit with it, and I had to go down by the river and write and take notes on it all because there's a lot of isms, and like throughout this whole period of doing these conversations with people, um, you know, I'm getting so much out of the conversations of isms that people are sharing, you know, like talking with Winona, like all the amazing like phrases that she just drops, like these epic pieces of knowledge, and you're just like,
So
whoa, I
fire.
need to sit with that and listen to that one. That was a good one.
I hope you go sit by the river and take notes after our conversation.
I'm gonna go sit in the bath and take notes.
Yeah, fair enough. Fire, bro.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for
I sometimes forget that we're in front of an audience.
yeah, I know. I was like,
Like
oh
I'm
yeah.
just FaceTiming
People are
people.
like stop eating blueberries. I'm like, I don't know.
That's how we do it.
These are
I
my
also
favorite
wrote
kind
a
of talks
book,
though
bro.
with
I
my
gotta
friends
send
because
you my
I'm.
book.
Oh yeah,
I just published a book,
a new one.
a new one.
Because um, do you talk about
Talk
um
about
stuff
oh, bro. I
in
talk
it?
about you, bro. I talk about you in the book.
Nah,
I'm
don't
like,
tease me.
yo, like one of the most like inspiring, beautiful, shaved head men of our generation.
He's the brown Mr.
I,
Clean.
I was gonna call you bald, but that didn't feel right.
Yeah, that
Because that
feels
means no
that's
hair.
that's harassed.
Yeah,
That's harassment.
it's my bad. My bad on that.
But it's cool. So what's the book called though?
The book is called Imaginary Borders, and it's really dope, bro. It's a part of a small series of four
Wait.
individuals.
It's a small one, right?
Yeah, it's like sorry, I just got
You
a
sent one to me.
yeah. I'll send you a copy.
No, you sent me one.
Oh, I already sent you one. Did you read it?
You didn't send me one. You said
Yeah.
you were gonna send me one the last time we talked.
You never sent me your address. I'm gonna send
I'm
you a
gonna
shirt, one of these shirts, one of the OXDX shirts,
send
and
me your
this book,
shirt and a book
care package.
because I remember you sent me a book, but then it wasn't that book. It was the other book. It was the
Yeah. That was a while ago. I wrote a different book
yeah,
back then.
yeah.
But
This
anyways, this
guy's
new
got a lot
book,
of books, guys.
two books now, and the second one's short, 50 pages, and it essentially dives into my worldview on the interconnectedness of these different movements from the, like looking at the climate crisis from like a political lens, an economic lens, all of woven through social justice and indigenous resistance, talking about my dad's family in Mexico and those values, how they're experiencing the climate crisis at this moment, talking about how my art has helped me guide my way and navigate through my work in the climate
And there's
space.
pictures in it.
Nope, that's the old book. If you want, you can
Damn
look at the
it.
old book. The old one is called We Rise, and the new one is called Imaginary Borders. And this one's,
And
I
where do
think,
we
way
find these books?
doper. So actually, the link in my bio has a link to indigenous owned and operated bookstore that you can order it from. There's also a really dope listing of a bunch of different black owned bookstores that you can order these books from that they just posted on Vogue. But yeah, you can check it out. Link in my bio. And you can get it at Amazon, but there's just other
Fuck
cooler,
Amazon.
cooler local companies to buy it from. But yeah,
Hell yeah.
copy the book, share it. I'll send you a copy, and let me know what you think.
I will. I'll do a review.
Yeah, bro. Do a Nahko Bear reacts.
Oh my god. Is it short enough I could do like a reading of it?
You could. Yeah, you could read it.
Like
You could read
in
it.
segments?
Yeah, you could read it in probably 2 segments. It'd probably be like 2 40-minute segments.
Bear reads X.
Yeah, that'd be sick. because I narrated it myself too for the Audible version.
Oh, cool.
But the remix, bro. But the Bear Reads X remix. And you can like swap out words that you want. Be fire.
I'll do each chapter in like a different voice or something.
A different accent.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
That's tight. I'm really excited for you. I can't wait to cop one and read it and give you my review. I'll send you my address. I'll pin my address here in the comments.
You don't want to do that, bro. You can be getting all kinds of crazy books. Yeah, dog. Well, I miss you, man. I'm excited to hop in the lab.
Are you on West Side right now?
I'm in Mid Side. I'm center.
Okay.
I'm belly button of the
Oh, you're
country.
back in the Rockies.
I'm in New Mexico.
Oh, respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll be out west probably in the fall. So I'm gonna just show up at your house one day.
All right, cool.
Once you send me the address. And then we'll make sick beats. And
yeah.
Bro, I'm learning how to engineer myself. I just got all my equipment, so I'm like recording demos in my freaking
What do you got? You got one of these? Whoa.
I have yes, I have that exact one.
Yeah.
It's super clutch.
Yeah. It's so important and it's so fun, right? You just geek out so hard on stuff.
So hype. I'm just learning. I'm like, oh, this is what engineers do every time I'm in the studio. It's fun.
Well, that's what they're doing when they're like.
Yeah, they go crazy on it. But take care of yourself and FaceTime me in private sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me a banana phone.
All right, I love you, bro. Thank you so much for spending some time today with us. And I'm gonna I'll peep you like right after this, anyway. So, thank you for joining us today on today's episode of MTTV. I love you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Peace, bro.
Woo! Talking to the homies. That was a good chat. I appreciate Xiuhtezcatl taking the time to talk with us today. Appreciate you all for tuning in. I will. I forget what I was going to reshare, but I was going to talk. Oh, Jane Elliott. Check out some Jane Elliott on YouTube, and go check out Xiuhtezcatl's Instagram page for links to the things that he was discussing. He's got a lot of information on that page, so check it out. Give it a shot. Do your research. Stay informed. And educate yourselves on how to be a good ally, as well as how to burn down Babylon. Because it's going down, baby. There he is, Imaginary Borders, out now, Butterfly. I don't know what is up with me today, but I am in rare form. But this form is so rare. I should probably get off IG Live right now because I'm about to just continue to be weird. But y'all take care. Y'all take care now. And I'll see you on Thursday.